There have been many games in my life that I love and enjoy playing. However, today I want to dive deeper into the games that didn't just entertain me, but rewired and altered my brain. You know, the games that leave you staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., or questioning reality, obsessing over the story, or humming the soundtrack for weeks. Yeah, those games. Video games are often dismissed as a simple pastime or sources of entertainment. But for those of us who dive deeply into their worlds, they can leave a profound and lasting impact. Over the years, I've come to realize that certain games haven't just entertained me, they've fundamentally reshaped the way I think, feel, and process the world around me. They've altered my brain chemistry in ways that range from rewiring my emotional responses to enhancing my problem-solving skills. From jaw-dropping plot twists to mechanics so unique they changed how I think about gaming forever. These are the titles that have left a permanent mark on my soul. So grab a snack, sit back, and let's explore the masterpieces that altered my brain chemistry, for better or worse. Hello everyone, my name is Fedra and this is cozyfeji, and on this channel we cover a variety of things such as video essays, reviews, JRPGs, and all things cozy gaming. Now, gaming has always been a pastime for as long as I can remember. Whether she's been in my life for a long time or we've had an on and off relationship, video games still have a huge impact on my life. So today I wanted to share with you a few games throughout my life that have literally stuck with me and have altered and tingled my brain up here. So the first game that I want to mention is 13 Sentinel Aegis Rim. 13 Sentinel Aegis Rim is a narrative-driven sci-fi adventure and real-time strategy game developed by Vanillaware. The story weaves together the perspectives of 13 different protagonists, each of whom pilots a Sentinel, a massive mecha used to defend humanity from an alien invasion. Set in various interconnected timelines, the game explores themes of time travel, artificial intelligence, cloning, and the nature of reality. As players unravel the story, they experience flashbacks, mysteries, and connections between the characters, piecing together a sprawling narrative that ties the fates of the protagonists to a catastrophic event threatening the world. The gameplay alternates between visual novel-style exploration and tactical battles against waves of kaiju, blending engaging storytelling with strategic combat. Now, when I first got into this game, I did not expect it to be as complex, intricate, sometimes a little convoluted, but the payoff was 100% there. I knew when this game released there were so many critical acclaimed reviews and how this was a masterpiece and a gem, but also a low-key underrated gem that I feel like not many people outside of like the JRPG and RPG world really gave its flowers for. And so when I finally got to experience this game last year, I think it was last year, I have a video of a review of it. I absolutely loved my time with it. When the hype of going into this was real, it was real. The reviews and a lot of my friends who have played this game have said nothing but good things about it, and this game did not disappoint. I left completely enamored and shocked and kind of just sat there just like, wow, I really finished that. And it made me really want to dabble more into the sci-fi genre, and I feel like sometimes with a story as complex as this one and trying to tell stories through 13 lenses is really hard to do and master, but for some reason Vanillaware really nailed it with this one and interwove each individual story really well. And what's really interesting about this game is that you can't play one perspective all the way through. You have to stop and pause, go to another person's to add more to the overarching story, or sometimes you experience one person's story and someone from another character would come in and kind of answer some questions that you had from another person's perspective, which was so cool. And like I mentioned before, as complicated as it was, the payoff was so worth it, and I really highly recommend this game. If you are someone who's interested in the sci-fi genre, who is really in for a rich narrative driven story, look no further than 13 Sentinel Aegis Rim. The next game that I definitely want to mention, of course, is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is a sprawling action RPG set in the war-torn world of Ionius, where two nations, Keves and Agnes, are locked in an endless cycle of conflict. The story follows 6 soldiers, Noah, Mio, Uni, Tyon, Lance, and Senna, who come from opposite sides but unite after uncovering a deeper conspiracy behind the war. Together, they embark on a journey to unravel the mysteries of their world, including the truth behind their 10-year lifespans and the role of an enigmatic force called Mobius, which perpetuates the endless fighting. Featuring themes of life, death, and freedom, the game combines heartfelt storytelling, breathtaking landscapes, and intricate combat mechanics as players explore a richly detailed open world and build bonds with a diverse cast of characters. Now, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was definitely a story for me that left me just shook and really solidified why I love Xenoblade Chronicles and Monolith Soft, the developer. The stories that they tell, the expansive, and I mean expansive worlds that you get to explore in the Xenoblade franchises are just top notch, top tier, and I feel like they're the gold standard for what an open world should look like. I had a blast playing this game, and I feel like I've barely even scratched the surface. No, I know I barely scratched the surface. I only put in, I want to say 70 plus hours into this game, and I know I can put in well into 100, 150 if I really tried. And that is definitely a game I really want to get back into it. But the reason why this game was so brain altering and really tingled my senses in my brain, it was just how really beautiful the worlds are, and of course the story and narrative. 100% the story. When I finished playing that game, I was left just kind of empty, I'm not gonna lie. There's definitely games that just make you feel just like, oof, well, what do I do now? And that's exactly how I felt when I finished Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I absolutely loved my time getting to know our main cast of 6 characters that we got to follow, as well as the heroes that we get to meet along the way, and to see how their story interweaves with the overarching story. And the whole premise is what you do with those 10 years. And living in a world full of war and crime and nothing but fighting and taking lives could be mentally, not could be, it is very mentally taxing. And so seeing how these pretty much these soldiers, war children, I feel like, children's warriors, children's soldiers. What am I even saying? But these children soldiers, it was just really interesting to see their perspective and see them grow throughout the story and grow with their relationships with one another was truly beautiful to see. And it made me realize that I should not take my life for granted that I have now, and that it could be gone tomorrow, or it could be, I know it sounds super sad and depressing, but like, I really made me realize to really take every day one day at a time and to really appreciate what I have and who I have around me as well. And the next game that I really want to talk about is Final Fantasy 16. Final Fantasy 16 is a dark fantasy action RPG that follows the story of Clive Rosfield, a young man whose life is shaped by tragedy and his connection to a powerful entities known as icons. Set in the world of Valisthea, where the magical crystals grant power to warring nations, the game explores political intrigue, betrayal, and the devastating consequences of icon battles. Clive embarks on a personal journey of revenge and self-discovery, navigating a world torn apart by conflict and mysterious plague called the Blight. As he battles powerful enemies and uncovers hidden truths about the world and himself, the narrative weaves themes of fate, sacrifice, and cost to power. The game features intense real-time combat, stunning visuals, and a mature, character-driven storyline. I loved my time with this game. This was actually my very first Final Fantasy game, and I know this game is very controversial to many JRPG and especially Final Fantasy fans, but I genuinely loved my time with this game. I think the way that this game altered and rewired my brain chemistry was just how depressing this game was. Like, this is not like a little ooh da-de-da, we're skipping and frolicking around. No, this is a very depressing, very sad, almost disheartening at points game. I want that to make it known. This is not a little skip around the rosy, kind of game. This is definitely a sad game. But honestly, I love to play these kind of games. I love to cry every once in a while. I think it's very therapeutic. But just, my God, I feel like this one, does a really good example of character study and relationships between characters. And I feel like this game does a really good job of talking and discussing themes of justice and familial relationships and just found family, and also just family in general. And I feel like it does it really well. I absolutely love the characters that we follow. Clive and his relationship with his brother was honestly very reminiscent to how me and my brother are. I love that boy to death. He is my rock, my best friend, and the way that Clive and Joshua view and respect each other is something I can see in myself. And there were so many moments, especially towards the end, where I literally bawled my eyes out. So much so I think I got a headache because of how much I cried. But that game will forever just stay in my head as just gut-wrenching, but so beautifully executed. And I understand it has its flaws for sure, but with flaws and all, I still absolutely love this game. I do have the DLC and I still need to play it, but I will definitely look fondly back at that game and how it resonated with me so much. Now the next game is kind of also a little cheat. It's actually a franchise, and that is the Trails series. The Trails series, a sub-series of the Legend of Hero franchise, is an expansive JRPG saga known for its intricate world building, deep character development, and interconnected narratives. The series is set in the continent Zemuria, a land rich with political intrigue and ancient mysteries and advanced orbital technology. The story unfolds across multiple arcs. The Trails from Sky, which is the Liberl arc, Trails from Zero and Trails to Azure, which covers the Crossbelt arc, Trails of Cold Steel, which covers the Erebonian arc, and the most recent Trails Through Daybreak, which covers the Calvard arc. The series' overarching narrative ties the arcs together, exploring themes of political unrest, friendship, and the balance of power, all while unraveling the secrets of Zemuria's ancient past. The games are beloved for their detailed world, massive cast of characters, and intricate storylines that reward longtime fans. Now, the Trail series was a franchise that really I've been curious about for a very long time. As a JRPG lover, many people have said nothing but great things about this franchise. However, it's really daunting and intimidating to get into because there are so many of them. It's not like your Tales of or Final Fantasy where each entry is kind of a standalone. With Trails, the franchise and the series, is that each game does play a huge role in the overarching story that the story wants to tell us in the games. And so you do have to play certain games in order to really understand what's going on. And it's told into different arcs. You have the Trails from the Sky Liberl arc, we have the Crossbell arc with Trails of from Zero and Trails to Azure. We had the Erebonian arc with the Trails of Cold Steel games 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we also have our most recent one with the Calvard arc, which is set in the Trails Through Daybreak games. So I know there's a lot of them, but I just, even I'm right now, I'm just having such a hard time finding words to describe how much this game has changed me as how I view storytelling in video games. I have never seen a franchise or a game series tell stories so well, expand on the world build. Like the world building in the series is truly out of this world. Like I've never seen a franchise do world building that good. Like I'm genuinely in shock every time there, and it's just not just with one game. There's multiple games throughout this franchise where I'm just left like, no, oh my god. Like I think a particular moment that I really do remember is when I finished Trails in the Sky the third on Christmas Eve with literally 10 minutes before the New Year rung, and I was just sitting there like, what did I just experience? I almost felt like an out of body experience because I just felt like I had to like sit with myself in silence for a little bit and then like, okay, I had to celebrate the New Year. But like regardless, I just felt so overwhelmed with how beautiful and well written the story is and the characters. And like again, I feel like it's a common theme from a lot of these games: the story, the characters, the plot, and world building. The Trail series hands down is definitely one of my favorite JRPGs, and honestly my favorite franchises and video games, and honestly my favorite entertainment medium, what it is. I just love Trails, and I really encourage anyone to start this franchise. I would recommend to start with the first game of each arc. So that's Trails in the Sky first chapter, Trails from Zero, Trails of Cold Steel 1, or Trails Through Daybreak. Those are good entry points for each arc. If you can, I would recommend doing from the very beginning, because I feel like seeing things from the beginning all the way to recent is just a really good payoff. So either way, the Trail series is hands down a franchise and series that I highly, highly, highly recommend you have to partake in and experience for yourself. Now, the next game that I want to get into is actually the game that got me back into gaming, and that's Animal Crossing New Horizons. Animal Crossing New Horizons is a life sim game where players embark on a journey to a deserted island to create their dream community. After arriving with the help of Tom Nook's getaway package, you gather resources, build structures, and customize your island's layout to make it uniquely your own. Players can interact with a cast of charming animal villagers, decorate their homes, design the island, and participate in seasonal events. With its relaxing atmosphere, open-ended gameplay, and focus on creativity and connection, New Horizons offers an escape to a peaceful, idyllic world where players can explore, craft, and build at their own pace. Now, this is probably the only game that I've put in an ungodly and a shameful amount of hours. I think at this point, I'm almost up to 2,000 hours in this game. 2,000. I think it's like 1,500, but it's a lot. Like, no one should have that many hours in any game, period. But I do, and it's Animal Crossing. There are so many times when I come back to it, I pick it up for a bit, I get excited to build a new island, create new characters, create lore for my characters sometimes, or my island. I just love how peaceful, how cozy and tranquil this game is. It's really not much. You just get dropped off on this random tropical island with Tom Nook and these really cute villagers and build your island the way you want it to be. And I love how it goes through different seasons along with you. So right now it's currently winter and we get to celebrate Christmas soon with all the villagers. Like many people, I got into this game during the panorama, and one of us were quarantined and had nothing to do. Animal Crossing really was my saving grace. And I had never experienced gaming like that in my life, where I literally would spend the entire day, hours of my day, just sitting there literally fishing or catching bugs or just making a new build on my island. I don't know what it is about Animal Crossing, but the time, like the gameplay loop is so addicting and so simple, but also really rewarding. And just seeing all the community behind the current Animal Crossing game is honestly so fun. And to see people have different themes and islands and how they treat and how they have lore and stories with their characters is just an amazing time. And I truly do thank Animal Crossing New Horizons for really getting me back into gaming and made me fall in love with the hobby all over again. Now, the next game I want to mention is definitely a childhood favorite, and that is Nintendogs. Nintendogs is a pet simulation game where players adopt, care for, and train virtual puppies. The game allows you to choose from various dog breeds, each with its own unique personality, and form a bond with your furry companion by feeding, grooming, and playing with them. Using the Nintendo DS touchscreen and microphone, you can teach your dog tricks, take them on walks, and participate in activities like obedience trials, disc competitions, and agility contests. With its charming and interactive gameplay, Nintendogs captures the joy of pet ownership in a fun and accessible way. I, at that time, really didn't play too many video games. I played here and there on like my brother's PS1 or PS2, a little bit on the GameCube, but the Nintendo DS was a console and handheld that I had of my own, and the first game that I had to have was Nintendogs. And I just remember being so enamored by the idea of having the voice microphone on the DS and calling out to my dogs and going on walks and playing with them, especially as someone who never got to have pets in real life. This was very therapeutic and a sweet time to bond with my dogs that I even still have to this day. Truly, I have spent so many hours just playing it. And even my family will know every time I mention the game Nintendogs, they always like, oh my god, how's your dog Daisy doing? And I always like, oh, Daisy's doing great. But I just remember just being like, oh my god, this is so crazy. I could like pet the dog, I can shower the dog with the touchscreen mechanics. I just think the Nintendo DS was just a very revolutionary console or handheld for its time. And I remember being a child, my little 7, 8-year-old self was just being completely shocked at how I could do all this, which is so crazy. Which kind of leads to my next game, which is Super Mario 64. Super Mario 64 is a groundbreaking 3D platformer that follows Mario on his quest to rescue Princess Peach from Bowser. Set in the magical world of Peach's castle, Mario must jump, dive, and explore various worlds hidden within paintings to collect power stars and unlock new areas of the castle. Each level features unique challenges, puzzles, and enemies with goals ranging from defeating bosses to navigating tricky platforming sessions. As one of the first games to feature fully 3D gameplay, Super Mario 64 revolutionized the platforming genre with its innovative controls, open-ended level design, and iconic charm. Now, I did not own this game per se. My cousins had this at their house. They had the 64, and I remember every time when we go over, we'd always play Super Mario 64 and Mario Kart. And I just remember, like, I think this was my very, very, very first experience to video games, period. I never really knew what video games were until I saw the 64 and saw Mario Kart, and just seeing the amount and the creativity in the imaginative world that is Super Mario and the Toad Kingdom and everything that game has to offer was truly groundbreaking. And I feel like for a lot of people, it was one of the first really proper 3D games that we got to see expand on so much that gaming hadn't had to offer before. And for me, I was just like bright-eyed, big-eyed whenever I saw the game. And I remember, even though I was trash at it, and I'm still trash at it, because my god, I don't know if it was like that back then, but trying to play that game now is hard. It is really, really hard. But nonetheless, my childhood self was completely shocked, and my brain was taking a minute to process what I was seeing when I saw when I saw Super Mario 64 for the first time. I think definitely nostalgia plays a fact in it, but nonetheless, it is definitely a game that I very much cherish today and has definitely left a long-lasting impact in my mind for sure. I know that the last game that I'm going to mention is kind of a cheat, but it's not a cheat because the way that I played it is because it's all in one disc. But either way, the last game that I want to mention is the Nonary Games. The Nonary Games is a visual novel and puzzle game collection that includes 999, 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors, and Zero Escape, Virtue's Last Resort. Both games center on a deadly game orchestrated by a mysterious figure known as Zero. In 999, 9 strangers are abducted and trapped on a sinking ship, forced to solve complex puzzles and make life or death decisions to escape within 9 hours. In Virtue's Last Resort, another group of participants awakens in an underground facility and must navigate the Ambidex game, where trust and betrayal determine survival. Both games feature branching narratives, mind-bending plot twists, and themes of morality, sacrifice, and the nature of free will, all tied together by a shared mystery. When I play this, I want to play this, I think, in January of 2023. And at that time, I've never really played like a adventure, visual novel story kind of like this, where I had to solve a mystery in order to understand why these characters are where they're at and to unlock and unfold the story as I want. I was genuinely kind of intrigued, kind of scared at moments, and also just excited to find out more about the story. And this was a game where I actually played to get almost every single ending. I almost got everything. I'm missing one ending, but I got kind of locked out of it, but I didn't notice at the time. But nonetheless, I absolutely loved the characters. And I think what's really great about the Nonary Games is that it's the reason why it kind of altered my brain in a way is because of how psychological this game is. There are so many moments where you yourself are also feel like you're being pushed to the edge, to the brink of your mental capacity. Because in that kind of setting, what would you do if you're literally locked up on a boat in the middle of nowhere and you're literally, as the hours go by, the boat is sinking and sinking? Like, what would you do in that situation? You're around strangers you don't know and you have to trust them, hoping that they won't take your life just for the sake of getting out of there for their own will, is crazy. And I feel like the writers of this game, chef's kiss. I do think I prefer the first one over the last Virtue's Reward, but nonetheless, this was definitely what pushed me to want to play more games of this genre. I definitely want to play the other sequels to this game, and I definitely want to also play Danganronpa, which I know it's not from the same developer and team, but in the same realm of the whole like whodunit kind of vibe. And I definitely was really had my time with it, and I was just left like shocked at the craziness you have to be to make a story like that. Video games are far more than a simple hobby. They are transformative experiences capable of reshaping our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. From teaching resilience and empathy to improving cognitive skills and fostering social connections, games have left an unforgettable mark on my brain and on my life. They've challenged me, comforted me, and inspired me in many ways I never thought possible. Ultimately, video games have altered my brain chemistry, not just because of their design, but because of the way they immerse us in the worlds and stories. Whether I'm solving puzzles, battling epic foes, or simply fishing in a peaceful virtual village, I know one thing for sure: gaming has made me a better, more thoughtful, and more engaged person. And for that, I'll always be grateful. I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I would love to know what are some games that have altered your brain chemistry. If you guys enjoyed this video, do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Bye!